Welcome back to the Grace Podcast, where I have conversations with you about my relationship with God, with myself, my friends, and with God Himself. And today I have a special guest, Rachel LaVonne. Say hey.
Hi.
I'm so happy to have you on here. And it's such a pleasure. It is such a pleasure. I love words. Words are my friend. It's such a pleasure for many reasons. But how about you introduce yourself? Tell us who you are. What do you do? What makes you happy?
Hi guys. I'm so excited to be here. I love what you're talking about on Dwell with Grace, so I'm honored to be a part of it. I am Rachel LaVonne. You've probably already seen me make really embarrassing Instagram stories with Grace, but if you haven't, I'm a singer, songwriter, actress, and people make me happy. God makes me happy, traveling, creativity.
That's awesome. So, I want to say one of the reasons that I wanted to bring you on here is because you don't have an orthodox lifestyle. And what I mean by that,
Love it.
What I mean by that is you don't work, a 9 to 5, and your day to day is that of an artist. And I want you to go into what that looks like for you. Like, what is your day to day like, or what would you like it to be in the future, etc.
Yeah, I do feel like I am in a paradoxical reality where I oppose a lot of traditional structures in how I have routines or organize my work. But as an artist and as a creative, for the goals that I have to be accomplished, there also needs to be a level of structure. So I'm still figuring out what that looks like for me each season. I think it has really changed depending on what city I'm living in or the projects I'm working on. So right now, I think the most important thing for me is really taking care of my soul.
Oh, that's good.
Because as an artist, nothing I do can really be impactful or fruitful or sustainable if I'm not physically, spiritually, emotionally healthy.
Okay.
Yeah.
You just said something that was really deep, taking care of your soul. And one, how do you do that? And two, do you feel like it's your responsibility to do that?
I think I am the most responsible person over my soul.
Oh, that's so good.
I've actually been given the first responsibility. And something I feel like I want to include in my routine consistently that I'm practicing is taking more responsibility to nurture my physical soul, my spiritual soul, my emotional soul, so I can actually be in wholeness and give to others selflessly. Where I've already given everything that I need to myself with Jesus, so I don't need anything from you throughout the day. Anything you give me then is a gift. It's not a need.
Wow, run that back. Hold up.
Yo.
No, that's really good. Hold up.
Yeah. I think especially as a creative, I'm very sensitive. I'm like a deep lover, and I found myself being emotionally codependent with people where I wanted to give myself to people, and it wasn't a healthy, sustainable dynamic. As an artist, even when we're serving and we're performing, we want to serve from a place of wholeness and not from wanting something from our audience. Yeah. And the only way to do that is for me with Jesus to provide everything that I need so I can give throughout the day and not need anything from anyone, but receive it as a gift.
I think that's so deep, just even as a person, before we're even anything, whether it's an artist or an architect or just as a human being, to have your soul to be healed, so you don't have to rely on anyone to complete you or to make you feel whole. But I wanted to delve more into that process of but what does that actually look like for Jesus to heal your soul or for you to do it with Jesus? So like, how does that happen?
Yeah. Oh, this makes me so vulnerable. I have to be honest. I guess I'll tell like a true story.
Go ahead.
I think it looks different day by day.
Yeah.
And that's where, for me, I'm learning to really slow down and listen within the routines that we all need to have that creativity and not make assumptions about what you need or what you should do because someone said this works for me, but create something that works for you in that season. Because what works for me last month is not going to work this month. So I'm always evolving. So, for example, today there was a moment where I was feeling a lot of things come up. I could have called a friend. I could have like tried to vent to someone. I could have just been like, whatever, let me just watch funny reels. Like I could have done so many things, but I got sensitive with myself. And instead of being like, well, I'm on a routine, I have all these goals for today. I'm like, no, my soul is my priority. I'm responsible for me. And I like went to be alone and I processed like, soul, what do you need? I listened to my own self communicate something really raw and vulnerable, and I was able to work myself through that feeling. Where the energy then, we become like an alchemist, like with the Holy Spirit, the energy that felt like sadness in my soul, because I was able to take care of it and see it and hold and love myself through it, it then transformed into creativity.
That is so good. Yeah. I just needed a moment to process all of that. I do. Because I can relate, but then also at the same time, there's a part of me where I spent a lot of my life working, and this is school as well, so school, work, etc. Very, very structured schedule. Very, very, oh shoot, it's like 8 o'clock, I gotta go. So if there's a moment where I need healing, I can't do it. And by the time I get back home, I'm like broken and just distraught. And, maybe I can blame it on my boss or I can blame it on like, oh shoot, I'm late with my homework or something. I still can't process it because now it's like 9 o'clock and I don't want to do that. So what I do instead is I binge Bridgerton or binge like Hulu, and my soul just gets even more broken because these are temporary fixes. And so what I hear you saying is that you're prioritizing your soul care over your own work. And I think the benefit of having your position, which is to have a bit more of a flexible schedule, is that. And it makes me wonder, it's always made me wonder if that was the intention, right, with our time, which is to have it for God. And I think that in the society that we live in, especially in America, where there's so much strategic and systematic distractions. And I know that work, I shouldn't say work is a distraction, but when work becomes your provider as opposed to God, then it is a distraction. You know what I mean? And that's something I'm learning in this season. I've been learning for the past like years. And just hearing like, I feel like you're, let's say, a personification of what it looks like to have given our time to God. And not worry about the fact that society says, no, you should live this way. You know what I mean? I think that's so beautiful. And I wanted to also say too, I remember in the beginning you said that you're intentionally doing this. So was there a time where you had to decide like, okay, I could either get a normal working job and still work on my art after work or before work or on the side or whatever, or you chose to make your craft your work? Like, was there a moment where you had to decide, or was it just automatic, like you just knew?
I think there was a bit of a crossroad for me. It felt like I really had two choices.
Okay.
I was in a position where I was 18, I was getting ready to graduate high school. All my school counselors were like, you need to apply to colleges. And I just had this deep, deep feeling like I'm going to move to New York City and I don't know how, and I don't know what I'm going to do there, but I know that I'm going to New York. And so I told my counselors, like, I don't want to apply to any of these colleges. Like, I'm only going to New York.
That is so beautiful.
It was wild, and I had this strong feeling of like, I want to do something great with my life, but I'm terrified. Or I could maybe write for fashion magazines or use my writing and my creativity to just serve something that already exists, something that could be like easy and predictable, and I know I could be good at it. But I had a talent agency my senior year, and it was a wild storm of events. I ended up getting 2 different scholarships for 2 different acting schools, which was so unexpected.
That's crazy.
I was not seeking that at all for a career.
Yeah.
And it was like they gave maybe 3 scholarships out of like 1,500 people, maybe more.
Favor.
And when that happened, I just felt the Lord make it so clear, like, I'm bringing you to New York, and I want you to follow your art and your creativity. I want you to steward your gifts and your talents, and this is my plan for you. So I was like, all right.
Yo, hold up.
That's it.
Whoa. So, okay. First of all, your lashes right now are fire.
Girl, thank you.
Wow. So, all right. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But the sequence of events is that you had an innate knowing of what you wanted to do, but also what you didn't want to do.
Yes.
And then you explored that, and then provision, like opportunity came, provision came.
Yeah.
And then the Lord spoke.
Deep.
That was the order?
More or less. I mean, me getting signed with that talent agency was also the Lord speaking and moving, and my parents being in alignment to partner with that, because we had to drive to Chicago often for me to train. And so there was a lot of events that happened for the accumulation of all of it. But it really was like, I didn't have the bravery or the confidence to actually pursue my talents as a career. I never would have made that choice.
Right.
But my family's support, God opening doors for me, grace and favor, it was like his plan. And he made it so obvious that it was his plan. And it kind of like unraveled in front of me, like I stumbled into it, honestly.
So the reason I'm asking that, because a lot of times we try to like make these huge life decisions and we need this big sign or confirming word or something. And could it be that God was speaking from your knowing? Just from you knowing. And I think that a lot of people ignore that because it's just like, you don't even recognize that could be the voice of God.
At that time, yeah.
And I also just want to say, I have never met your parents before, but it's not common that parents would support a career that's outside of the sciences, especially like coming from where I came from. So I don't know them, but I honor your parents because that support alone goes really, really far. Yeah. And I wanted to speak on just, you mentioned like having the confidence to back that, because that is something that, I mean, we hear all the time, like starving artists, you know, like artists who pursue music, art, whatever, they're not making money, especially in New York, which of course does not apply to you. But I wanted to talk a bit about that, where there's not only confidence in your own ability, but also confidence that you'll actually survive. Like literally, food, shelter, those practical things. There's like the spiritual aspect, which is like, yes, develop your craft and do the singing lessons and all of that, which that's a miracle, because I know a bit about that too. Yeah. But how do you manage that like confidence of God's gonna provide for me, I'm gonna be fine, and how does that like correlate to also your confidence in your singing abilities? You know, like, does God have you in that too, or is that more so just you're gonna work at your vocals, you're gonna work at finding jobs and
Yeah, that's such a good question. I think it looks different as the journey unfolds, as I approach faith in deeper levels or different perspectives, I think that in the beginning, moving to New York and being like, God is opening these doors for me. This is the career that I'm going to create. It was really easy for me to make that decision because I always knew that was really the desire in my heart that I wanted.
So good.
And it felt like God co-signed that. But when it came to practically paying my bills and developing my craft, like something that I always tell people, it was like moving here and following the word of the Lord. It felt like the Lord brought me in the middle of a desert and was like, I would love for you to make a giant feast for me and my friends.
Wow.
And I had no tools. I had no groceries.
Not even a recipe book.
Not even a recipe book. Girl. raw. Like, raw DSFR. Like,
yeah.
I was like, so first I gotta, I guess, figure out how to make fire.
That's deep.
Then I gotta figure out how to make the tools. Like, before I even get to the meal, there's like like this giant list.
Calculations ain't calculated. Like
math ain't mathin'.
At all.
And that you can't skip that process. And you can't also airdrop that revelation to anyone. And in the beginning of my journey, I met with someone who was very developed in the industry, and he said, an overnight success is going to take you 8 to 10 years. And I, in my naivete and my bravado, I was like, that ain't going to be me. Give me 2.
Yo.
But no, I needed that process with God to figure out how to not rely on my ministry, which is creativity, for finances or to cut corners or to compromise, and all of these things are really important.
That's so deep what you said, because you're talking about the process, and I feel like as visual people, as visionaries, as people who are prophetic, who really rely on vision, we do focus on the end result a lot, which is why you're saying I could do it in 2 years, because like, why take 8 or 10? Who has time for that, right? And God is just like, but I'm looking forward to the process with you. Can you imagine? Because it's like, imagine God's plan for humanity was just to be with us. And we're like, cut to the end, God. That's nice or whatever, but I want to be on stage and I want to be at MSG. And by the way, she can really sing. I should have prefaced with that. But like, no joke, you can really, really, really sing. It's actually insane. And I know I'm sitting like next to a Grammy winning artist right now. I already know it.
Me too.
But with that being said, oh, thank you. Almost didn't catch that. But with that being said, now that we are, what is this, 8 years into the, well, no, 10 years into the making now of Rachel LaVonne, like, how do you feel now in regards to the goal or the vision? Like, do you feel as pressed to get there, or are you simply just enjoying the process? Or are you not enjoying the process?
Yo, there's some times where the process is not it. There's some times where I'm like, beat me up, I'm done. Like, all right.
Not this show.
You ate with that joke. That was good. I'm done now, though.
No, God be a comedian, though, for real. Like, no, honestly, he gives you a snippet of a plan. Not even the whole thing, a snippet.
Yeah, he's cute.
Just like, let's see what she can.
He's like, you know, I want to fly away with some song. He's like, yo. No, honestly, the process, for real, you're going to feel every emotion that you have thought of and ones that you didn't know existed. And I wouldn't change it for anything. I wouldn't do, well, maybe I'd do a few things differently. But I'm so grateful for the process because through the journey of everything, of following God here and saying yes to the plan got put in its place.
Mm.
And
Wait, what do you mean by that?
I feel like at the time, the plan was like the reason. The plan was the goal, the gift, the purpose.
Right.
Like, this is the thing. But through this journey, the plan got put in its place. Where it's like, yes, you are important,
That's so good.
but you're not the reason. And you'll never be the reason. And that's something that will only happen through character development and real relationship with Jesus. You can't skip steps. Like the faithfulness of God that I've experienced is only because of the last 10 years. And I can't airdrop that to anyone.
Yo, bruh. Not an icon reference. Wait. Because what you said, I know that what you're doing is really rare, at least to me, which is like,
Thank you.
especially in New York, where most people hear it's like about the grind, the hustle. But what I feel like you said is so relatable to any and everyone who's so focused on things like, I know a big thing is like marriage, right? For a woman, where it's just like, the goal is marriage, and it's just like, but marriage is not the reason. Jesus is the reason.
Right.
Or when it comes to making money, right? Like, quit that 9 to 5, retire early, be financially independent. And it's like, that still isn't the reason, though. The reason goes back to Jesus because you freed up your time to do what? Right? And I feel like that's the process that we have to go on.
Yeah.
And I've just been like, I feel like that's been such a word that's been resonating with me in this season, because I live in the future, and we jokingly, we joke about it, like, yo, we walking right now in the Lamborghini and all this other stuff. But then there's also the reality of the now, the reality of the process, which is like crying out to God, where you're just like, God, I need $1,000 more to live here.
We do be crying out to God. We do.
Yeah.
3 a.m., 4 a.m., 3 p.m., round the clock.
And I think too, I also think too that kind of goes hand in hand back to the fact that you're able to really live like that, cry out to God, like literally at His feet when you're not desperate and when you are desperate. Having those both times, and it's a real life thing. It is. And I also just want to speak to the amount of faith you must have to do this. The amount of faith. I mean, I feel like, and I think we spoke a bit about this, trying to find even a circle of people in New York that can relate to you who aren't, working 9 to 5. Also, I wanted to say there's nothing wrong with working 9 to 5. I'm not against working 9 to 5. I'm only against putting something or someone as your provider outside of God. That's the only thing. Because your job can provide for you through the means of which God has given it to you. So God is ultimately provider, right? Yeah. So what I'm saying to you though is that finding that network of people who are walking in that same level of faith, whether they're working 9 to 5 or not.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know, do you feel like you found like a network of people, Christian or not even, I want to say, because I feel like I met a lot of entrepreneurs that have faith that can move mountains that are not Christian.
Yeah.
So I wanted to just talk a bit about your experience with that, like finding your tribe. Like, how's that been like?
Yeah. I kind of go through a process. I'm refining my definition of an attachment versus a connection.
Oh wow.
So I'm redefining I'm redefining what that means to me. I don't want to have attachment to people, places, and things. And so sometimes I'll make really difficult decisions to leave certain relationships or leave certain environments or even say no to certain opportunities because maybe the attachment isn't the quality that I want because I'm looking for a certain kind of connection. So I want to be really intentional about what I'm connecting to versus attaching to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what I'm looking for in those connections, it changes depending on my goals at the time. I do think whether you're Christian or not, you can have really good character and a beautiful amount of love in your life and wisdom and truth. And I don't religiously put anyone in a box, but I think right now I'm really looking for people that have vision, that hear from the Lord really well, that I genuinely have so much fun with. And that's like my priority right now. And I do feel like not everyone fits that quota, and that's okay.
And I think full circle moment, it goes back to you healing your soul and understanding what is an attachment and what is a connection.
Yeah.
What's needed and what's not needed. And even the whole fun thing too, just truly enjoying, because I believe that asks you like what makes you happy. And I think that's so important to know, like what makes you happy and what is fun to you. Because I feel like as we are adulting, we kind of lose a sense of that, a sense of being a child again. And again, full circle moment, if we're a child, then God really is our Father.
Yeah.
And then we can come to Him and say, hey, God, like, I need help right now. Help me,
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm just excited to really like just enjoy this process with you, which is crazy because I kind of like just met you, but I feel like because in so many ways we kind of like can tap into that fate dynamic. It's so easy for us to really be connected.
Yeah.
In so many different ways. And if I were to ask you some quick fire questions.
Quick fire questions. I love it.
Okay. Who are your top 3 favorite singers?
That's a crazy question.
Is it?
Top 3?
Top 3. You can do a bonus one if you want.
I love Miss Whitney Houston. I think she's a pure soul. She can sing. She can sing, and her emotion is just amazing. Maybe I don't need to give like a rundown of why I love everyone. This is a long one. Okay, Whitney. I love Lauryn Hill as well, obviously.
Lauryn Hill. Oh my god.
Oh, I only have one more. This isn't like one singer, but I love the Beatles.
Really?
I love the Beatles.
That's so uncommon. And I played that one Beatles song, and I was just like, I wonder if they care for the Beatles.
When did you play the Beatles?
Mother Mary. Mother Mary.
Speaking
that.
Yeah, let it be. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah.
Okay. Bacon or sausage?
Bacon all day.
Really? Turkey bacon or real bacon? Well, pork bacon, whatever.
Hopefully they're both real. Respectfully. Pork bacon. Okay.
Running or lifting weights?
It depends where I'm at in my hormone cycle. So that's what phase I'm in. That's a real response. Women, if you don't know about your phases yet, do it.
Yeah.
Work out with your phases.
Actually, no, I don't know what you're talking about.
I know, I tried to put you on.
Really? Did I not listen?
I thought you did, but...
No, I'm just used to running, like, without thinking about it. Interesting.
Okay, so look, let me give you a quick little synapse. Our hormone cycle is different than men. Men will have like a hormone cycle that's the same when they wake up and go to sleep every day. Ours is the same, except it's a duration of 30 days. So what a man experiences in one day, we experience over the course of an entire month. So there are times we're doing high cortisol activities, such as HIIT, workouts, running, boxing, It's actually going to cause your body stress and your hormone stress. So you're not actually going to lose any weight. You're going to gain weight and hold on to a lot of inflammation in your body.
There's no way you told me this, Rachel.
Swear to God.
I would have remembered.
Well, not with the same detail.
Okay.
I basically I dropped a little gem. That's it.
Okay, thank you for giving me more gems. I appreciate you.
Shout out to Jazzy Gems.
Yes. And dropping gems on you. Oh, that was so fire.
That's a good song.
Okay, last question. Any last words for the people?
Aww. The greatest love that you're looking for is already inside of you because of Jesus. And take care of that every single day. Cherish your dreams and your desires and lay it down to God's dreams and desires and watch what is yours and what is His connects to the perfect vision.
That was so beautifully said. And I love you.
I love you.
And thank you so much for being my first guest.
Wait, I'm your first guest?
Yeah, you're my first guest.
Oh my gosh, I'm so honored. Wow.
Thank you so much. And I would love to have you back sometime.
Thank you for having me.
And also, thank you for listening. Like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you again for our next episode. Dwell Grace.
Dwell with Grace.